would advise you to be aware of one particular advice that I noticed in the recent days that's out there on this whole self-improvement section of YouTube. And that's to actually cut out all of the unvaluable people out of your life. Chances are that if you have like 10 friends, maybe 1 to 2 or 3 out of them are not necessarily the right or the best fit for you, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to cut out like all of them, because a lot of times it is really hardcore to identify who is actually dragging you down and keeping you stuck, and who is actually, transcending you and trying to help you grow. I definitely caught myself to this trap a lot of times when I would just, be pissed on one of my friends, or maybe on multiple of my friends, at once, and I would be like really, screw them, they just, betrayed me and poor me and boo-hoo and shit like that. And then I would just scroll out on YouTube and see people just, talking about how you need to cut out all of the unvaluable people out of your life, and that you need to keep your circle small. Which is true to some extent. I mean, there is no huge advantage in having like 50 fucking friends. Like you are gonna be alright with just 4 or 5 of really loyal and good productive friends of yours. The point is, like, whenever I would just scroll on the YouTube, because I don't have Instagram or anything else that I would scroll on, so I'm just like a little kiddo who scrolls on YouTube Shorts. But hey, still, whenever I would just see all of these rather big podcasters and, self-improvement guys out there just talking to me and telling me that, hey bro, you really need to cut out all of the trash and junk that's in between of your friends, I would get like really more, I would really start to relate a bit more into that sort of messaging, and I would even find myself like somewhat nodding my head and subconsciously agreeing. And by the way, that's only because of I just, got into an argument with my friends. So now I'm just, all against them, and now I am just all resentful and bitter. So obviously I'm just gonna, this type of messaging is just gonna actually somewhat more resonate with me. But all of this anger towards all of my friends basically went away after, I would say, 2 weeks of me being somewhat pissed on them, the latest. So, and then I was like really thanking God for not letting me to cut all of these people off, because these people are just, amazing people, but I was just so blinded by my own ignorance and emotions and anger to just not see through it, and to actually, have all of these reasons to be a poor victim, and be like, oh boo-hoo me and stuff like that. So I would actually start to think that, oh yeah, maybe I'm just now angry on them, and maybe they are just hurting, just because of they are hurting me, and if they are hurting me, it means that they are not the right people for me. And now I heard this one dude on YouTube Short telling me that you need to cut out all of the people who aren't the best fit for you, and keep your, isolate yourself from everyone, and I would be like, yeah, maybe that's what I need to do. But at the end, the worst thing I could have done would be to actually listen to these people and cut out all of these kind of good friends that I have, just only because of one fucking stupid YouTube short that I saw and on which I would react upon only based on my own emotions at that one particular moment. The message of today's video is to just, calm yourself down a bit and stop maybe listening and thinking that everything is true out there on YouTube and everyone is automatically right just because of they got some amount of subscribers and followers. Just the fact that people have some sort of platform doesn't mean that they have a patent on truth, and that every single word that comes out of their mouth is actually, actually makes some sort of sense or is true in like one way or another. So yeah, people with like over 100,000 subscribers still can be one huge fraud also. So yeah, don't actually get all tied up and got all controlled by all of your emotions. Actually cherish your friends and actually appreciate them. Thank God for them for just putting all of these people in your life And actually, one last advice that I would give you and at the end of this video would be to actually, what you should do then if you actually, deeply, genuinely feel like there are some sort of the bad guys in your, own personal circles. Well, if you have some sort of suspicion that someone is just, keeping you stuck and holding you down, maybe just these people who constantly complain like they never feel somewhat inspirational and they never want to inspire you or themselves, they never start doing anything or they never even stick to anything. They never, better themselves and they are just all stuck at one place. Like if these people are just all bitchy about literally everything in their own lives and aren't actually able to, change a bit or just dig themselves out and drag themselves out of this, big hole of some sort of failure and misery in their own lives, the chances are that over time they are just gonna actually be so jealous of you that they are gonna actually be sort of more on, or they are just gonna more harm you and, basically drag you down and, would want to keep you stuck as they are. Just because of they are stuck, they would want you to be stuck also. Just they would want to sabotage you just because of they would fear that you might be actually somewhat more successful than they would ever be. So with these people, I wouldn't actually have a lot of patience. I would just journal about it. I would just really meditate through it, journal about it, sit and think through it. And if like after some period of time, like I would be really convinced that this dude is only fucking hurting me, like he was always complaining to me, like he's being only unproductive, he's being only lazy, he's only complaining all the time, and whenever I give him some sort of, pat on his shoulder, he's even fucking more, toxic on me. He's like, yeah, now you are just, fucking patting me on the shoulder because you want my attention and stuff, and he would be just completely fucking sinister, like really acting weird, and to every single advice that I would actually give him and every single help I would try to give him, he would just reject and refuse, and he would still be stuck at one place. I would just not have any more energy and nerves to actually put up with his shit, and I would just then cut him off because like he's just not actually providing any value whatsoever to my life. And by the way, providing value in a friendship doesn't necessarily mean that you are working out together or doing this or that. It can be just that once upon a time they just call you and ask you if everything's good, or you have one great meaningful conversation once a week, let's say, or you actually just laugh every single day together. Like these are, I would say, nice examples of meaningful and great productive relationships and friendships that like you necessarily don't need to have your you don't necessarily need to be millionaires, you and both of you and your buddy, to actually be considered as having a productive friendship. I think making each other laugh is pretty much enough, but if you can't even if you can't even have some sort of slightest amount of fun with these guys and with these kinds of people, that they just only complain all of the time and they never actually say or try to be funny or try to actually lift the morale up and like boost your mood and boost their mood, like then I would actually think about seriously cutting them off from your life completely and not putting up with their shit no more.